Okay, so now we're going to focus on the different functions that a manager has in their role as a manager. Okay, it's broken down into five specific functions of management. Okay, the first one is planning. Okay, so planning, as it says, deciding company goals. Okay, and what the actions are to meet those goals. And I referenced earlier the previous video the Ford Motor Company example of having the electric car by 2017 that's affordable, that can go 200 miles on a single charge. Okay, that's planning. That's major, down the road, big picture planning. Okay, another example there of setting a sales goal. Okay, within a year. Okay, so planning is looking down the road more than just tomorrow or next week, but looking far down the road and what direction the company needs to be going. Okay, then we get into organizing. So you have to, whether it's organizing jobs that go together, organizing people, organizing raw materials, whatever it is. Okay, this could be a million different things, but you have to be organized yourself and you have to be able to organize other things. Okay, so again, if you think of all the different jobs that go on in a restaurant, how the kitchen is organized. So the dishwashing's here, things are getting cut here, there's ovens here, there's sinks here, the bar is here, and then behind the bar, the ice goes here, the fountains are here. Okay, think of all the different organizing that goes on. Okay, and then again, it's also setting up the employees, organizing them as well. Right, and then dealing with employees here is staffing. Okay, so how many employees do you need overall? How many people do you need on at any certain time? Who's going to find those people? Who's going to interview those people? Who's going to train those people? Okay, so staffing is very important. Okay, because it's probably the number one thing businesses spend money on, and that's employees. So you have to be able to staff your business well. It's a very important part of the management process. Now we get into leading, okay, leading or motivating, you might say, or communicating, right, providing guidance to that employees need, okay, to help them do their jobs. It could be, something like a formal, regular staff meeting that you have, whether that's once a week, once a month, whatever that is. It might be a newsletter that gets put out, a video that gets put out by an executive or by a manager, or it could just be those little one-on-one conversations that you have with somebody that needs a little motivation here or there. Okay, so leading, motivating, communicating, they kind of all go together as just one of the functions you will have as a manager. Okay, controlling is an important one, and this one isn't as easy to figure out by the name controlling, but basically it is comparing two things. You set a goal, a major goal, and then you break that major goal down into smaller goals, and then you got to figure out if those smaller goals are being met. Okay, and if they're not being met, why not? Okay, and what needs to be changed so that they can be met. Okay, so you want to figure out if things are going well along the way until you just get to the end. Okay, it'd be like using the analogy of a class. Okay, if you just took unit tests in a class every 2 weeks, had a chapter test, a unit test, but you never knew your score, okay, and then all of a sudden you just wait till you get your report card and figure out if you passed or not. Okay, that wouldn't make much sense. Okay, so if you are getting A's on your tests along the way, things are going fine. Continue what you're doing. But if you're failing tests along the way, then you got to stop and figure out, why am I failing tests? What do I need to change? Okay, so that's what same thing in a business. If smaller goals aren't being met, we need to know why. Okay, and a lot of times that's done by working with the accounting department, looking at financial statements, and again, making whatever changes are necessary. And here you can see how much time you would spend on each of the five functions of management based on what level your job is. Okay, you can see top level management does a little bit of everything. Okay, but you look at planning, again, setting that overall, that long-term picture. The supervisory manager, the lower level manager, is not going to have much input into that at all. Okay, that's usually just comes from top level. Okay, so you can see how you would be spending your day, how it would be kind of divided out there on average, depending on what level you are in. So those are the five levels of management. And next we'll be looking at the different roles that a manager plays at any given time. Okay, moving on then from the functions of management, we are going to get into the different roles that a manager plays within an organization. So again, it depends on which level you're at, but these are different hats you have to wear at any given time. Okay, so you take on a lot of different roles when you're in any kind of authority position. Okay, the first is an interpersonal role. Okay, dealing with people, like it says, providing leadership. This is more of a senior management role. It says interacting with others outside the organization. Sorry, we got interrupted there. Interacting with others outside the organization. So that could be an executive that's going to different banquets or charity events, or going to government things. So dealing with people, okay, and helping to determine the overall culture of a company. Okay, so that's what's called interpersonal roles, providing that leadership. All right, information-related role, you have to be able to disseminate or distribute or give out or communicate things to other managers, to employees about things that are going on, important news, developments, okay, sharing what those goals are, okay, so relaying information, okay, well, and that's, with technologies, could be sending emails, having a blog, a website, sending out a video message, whatever that is, holding conference calls, okay, so getting information out to those who need it. Decision-making roles is a big one, okay, resolving disputes, changing policies, how to use your resources, again, resolving those conflicts, okay, maybe it's something as simple as two people don't get along, or two people want Friday night off and only one can have it off, okay, if you think about maybe like a fast food place. Okay, so making small decisions like that to making larger decisions like, should we move into a larger office? Should we purchase a new warehouse? Okay, so big decisions as well as smaller ones, but there's a million decisions that get made on a given day. Okay, and then conceptual skills. This is more for like senior level managers. They need to understand everything as a whole. Okay, so again, if you think about the restaurant general manager, he has to know how the kitchen works. He has to know how the kitchen fits into the bar, and how the bar relates to the dining floor, and how the front of the house, how they're taking reservations, and how that affects the staff in the kitchen, and how everything works together, okay, and how they relate to one another as a whole. Okay, the bar manager just worries about the bar. The kitchen manager just worries about the kitchen. But that general manager needs to know how all of those things work together and can be best put together so that everybody's happy. And then we have some human relation skills, which we talked a little bit about before, whether that's resolving conflicts between employees, or going out and finding employees, interviewing them, training them. Human relations, is a pretty broad subject, but just again, it's relating to people, maybe more on a one-to-one basis. Okay, and then having some technical skills. So being able to do the things that your employees are going to need to do. Okay, if you're going to be the front manager at a grocery store, then you better know how to use the cash registers. If you are going to be the warehouse manager at a Walmart, then you better know how the inventory software works. If you're going to work in a factory and be the supervisor or the manager of a factory, you better know how the different machines work. Okay, so you need to be able to do those things that you're asking other people to do. Okay, so that's a challenging one. Okay, but all of them are going to use all the different skills. Okay, like we talked about, conceptual skills are more important at the senior management level. Okay, knowing how everything works together. Technical skills more important at the lower levels. Okay, the bar manager is going to need to know how to make all the drinks, so to speak. Okay, the restaurant manager will work on how everything works together. All right, but no matter what, all managers have to have human relations skills. If you can't work with people, you cannot be in management at all. Okay, and I'm going to finish this off here. So there's something called principles of management, a basic or truth or law. So when you have to make decisions, basically we refer back to principles. Okay, so things that we think are right, things that we think should happen, not necessarily legal or illegal, but just certain things we think are true. Okay, so it says truth or law, but it's more just the basic truth. Okay, so here's an example. If you observe that employees in 15 companies work more efficiently when, that should say when their supervisors treat them well, not threat them well. That's kind of counterproductive to what I'm trying to say here. You could come to the conclusion that having a pleasant work environment contributes to increased productivity. So your management principle of having a fun place to work becomes the driving principle behind decisions that you make. Okay, so that's just an example. So it's just what you believe in. Okay, it's principles that you find important. And again, it's almost like ethics. So it's a guide to action rather than laws. Okay, so you got to recognize when a principle shouldn't be followed, be able to change and adapt your principles when necessary. This is kind of a weird subject, but you kind of get the idea. Okay, things that you think are important. Okay, here you go. Do all employees need to arrive at work at the same time? Okay, so businesses, yes, some no. Teachers, we all do. If you work in an office building, does it matter? Okay, do you need to wear certain things? Do you have to dress in a suit and tie? Is it okay to wear shorts? Is it okay to wear jeans? Okay, things like that. What do you think are important? All right, and lastly, we have something called the glass ceiling. That when you talk about women and minorities in management, that glass ceiling is that invisible barrier that people can't get through when working their way up the ranks of management. And typically that has to do with women, females, and minorities in management, where no one will say it, but there's that barrier there, which has become better. Most recently, the new CEO of Yahoo is a female. And Twitter and Facebook both have several females in very high-level management positions, but it's obviously something that can always get better. But that's what we mean by that glass ceiling. Okay, so there's your definition. White men still hold most of the senior management positions. That's just still a fact. Okay, but it is getting better. Okay, and here we go, dealing with multiculturals in the workplace as a manager. Okay, so you have different religious beliefs, you have different holidays, when dealing with different subgroups. Okay, so just another example of how you need to be flexible, be able to work with people. And that will do it for this part.